Hello, welcome back, everyone. This is Dan. Thank you for joining me once again for The Longest Journey. In the last one, we met with Abnaxis, who gave us a quite the lore dump, and he gave us some hints as far as what we should do or who we should talk to next. But as a bit more of a refresher to myself, let's take a look at April's diary and see what she has to say after having talked to him. Okay, let's see. I've seen a lot of strange invitations in my life. Only a month ago, somebody, I didn't even know the guy particularly well, invited me to a suicide party with a cheerful card reading, Steven's Last Hurrah. I've been invited to a wedding between a 99-year-old terminally ill woman and a highway construction automaton. I've been invited to the senior prom by my best friend's father. But I think tonight brought the strangest invitation of them all. This is the first time I've accepted an invitation from before being asked by a creature whose grasp of grammar ranges from poor to non existent, and not realizing I did until after the fact. Unlike the invitations mentioned above, however, I'll probably honor this one. Strange or not, he may be able to answer some of my questions. So I guess this was before we left to go see Abnaxis. And then this one I'm thinking is after. When I asked Abnaxis about the Drykin, he didn't really know much about them except for a story he'd heard about a god who fell from the stars into the ocean a long time ago. Whatever this so called god may be, it's a fair chance it's got something to do with these Drykin creatures, or Dragonkin creatures. It might be a good idea to run this by somebody who knows more about the myths and legends of the sea. So, I think that is a hint for us to talk to the sailor. Wow, that closed pretty hard. I think this is for us to talk to the sailor who gives the maritime stories, but also I think we need to talk to Vestrum Tobias as well. I'm gonna go to the small pier, and this is the guy I'm talking about, the old sailor. He's got stories on stories on stories on stories. So maybe he's got a story about this one in particular.
Hello again, old man.
It be you.
Maybe it be me. Always with the pipe. Is it a peace pipe? Is it your talking pipe?
I'd love to hear some more maritime stories.
Sure, sweetie, I be happy to. What story you be wanting to hear now?
Here we go. Now we ask him all about this particular story.
Have you heard a story about a god who fell from the sky into the sea?
Aye, that I be having. Although that be a story of man-eating mermen who ravaged the sea of songs, swallowing sailors whole and spitting their bones out to dry. Are you sure you be up for hearing such a cruel tale?
As much as SpongeBob
I've heard
SquarePants.
Ye be a tough little lady, be you not? All right. Well, like I be telling yous, the sea of song surrounding the island kingdom of Gien be a treacherous sea where countless vessels have disappeared without a trace.
Like the Bermuda Triangle.
Now, this be near 30 long winters ago, mind, during me second term as captain of the trader Lucky Lady. We've been crossing the Sea of Songs for 2 seasons, and we'd yet to be seeing any sign of the dreaded bloodthirsty mermen who lurk in the waters off the Guyenne coast. That night we be laying still with our sails down, awaiting the wind to pick up and carry us north to Mercuria, when we be hearing a frightful scream a-coming from the port side of the Lady Luck. I be the first to rush over on account of me having me arm down the apple barrel. We just been to Arras to pick up 100 barrels of sweet Guyenne apples. And as luck would have it, I be there just in time to witness Sally Barney's horrible fate.
What happened to him?
He be in the water, screaming and waving his arms, and the water round him be red as a midwife's arms after a grueling birth.
I get the picture.
Yeah,
Go on.
That's pretty graphic.
Then I be seeing, I glimpse a large, shiny, sleek body be pulling Sally down and swallow him whole. It be the merman come to claim the body of the sailor who dare cross their sea.
Are you sure it wasn't a shark?
What?
Big fish with sharp teeth and dead black eyes and a large triangular fin on top?
Do they have sharks
You mean
here?
a black-eyed snapjaw? I guess it could have been. But it be no snapjaw. It be the dreaded merman of the Sea of Songs.
He's 100% sure.
Where does the sea god fit into all of this?
I be coming to that. You see, the bloodthirsty mermen be not only happy with cannibalizing sailors, but they be sacrificing their own to their dark old sea god.
What?
Actually, unless the mermen are human, they wouldn't really be cannibals if they ate humans.
Good point.
Blood sacrifices to their dreaded god who lives on the bottom of the sea.
Just ignore her.
That be the truth of the mermen, fierce and bloodthirsty cannibals of the Sea of Songs.
Completely ignore her.
Thanks. Good story.
Yeah, lovely.
Aye.
Thank you. We did ask for it. We did.
I'm all storied out for now. Thanks.
Yeah, we got what we needed.
Aye, you tell me when you want more, right?
Yeah, we will.
See you later.
If I not be dead, aye.
If I not be dead, I. He puts his pipe away. All right, so you're not the navigator, so you're not going to take this map, right? Nope. All right, so I did see we got a new diary entry, so let's see what we got going on here. What is it with old sailors and long, pointless stories? I did manage to get some useful information out of the old man, however. He claims that the god that fell into the sea, the one Abnaxis told me about, is worshipped by bloodthirsty cannibal mermen who live in the Sea of Songs around the island of Gien. I think that's how it's spelled. The fact that they're not necessarily cannibal just because they eat humans doesn't really deter him from finishing the story. I'm having my doubts about how bloodthirsty these creatures really are as well. Seems like the monster he described in his story could be some kind of shark instead of a merman. Whatever the truth, if anybody knows about this god who fell from the stars, it would be the mermen. Yeah, but we haven't met any mermen yet. So, let's go talk to Tobias. We had heard mention that Tobias may have a story of some sort that we might be in need of hearing. That was when we talked to Abnaxis, I think. He mentioned that Tobias would be able to tell us more. Was it about the Tyrant who were, like, trying to get a foothold in the city or something? I don't remember. At this point, I haven't started editing the last recording, so I'm just going along, just kind of what I remember from the last one, which, knowing me, going off of memory isn't really the best of ideas, but here we are. We're just gonna go with it, okay? Just follow, trust. Alright, and we're gonna come and talk to him. He's gonna pretend like he was working, and then he'll turn around. Oh, why? Well, hello there. Yep, he's just, like, daydreaming. Then we talk to him.
Good morning, Tobias.
Yep, see? He's pretending he's working. Oh, hello.
Why, it's April, my friend from Stark. Have you come to visit us again?
So it appears. I didn't exactly come here by choice this time, though.
Oh? How so, if I may ask?
In a weird and twisted way, it's nothing out of what's become the substitute for ordinary in my life. One second I was in my room in Newport. The next, I was in a dark alley in Mercuria.
You must have opened a shift while you were sleeping. Good. This means you are learning to harness your magic.
Yeah, I guess, except I don't think I'll be able to get back home again. And this time, my mentor, Cortez, has no idea that I'm here.
But I'm sure you will find a way to channel and control your power soon. In the meantime, is there anything I can do to help?
Need information. Yeah, need all this information.
I need to locate the disc that unlocks the Guardian's tower.
The disc that is the key? Yes, it is needed. It might even restore balance, provided the new Guardian accompanies it to the tower, of course. But you wish to find the disc yourself?
It's part of what we need to do.
I have to. Cliché or not, it's our only hope.
You do this often, then? Save worlds?
Is that a pickup
It's an
line?
expression. Heroism in my world is more of a cliché than anything else.
I do not understand. But then I am merely a servant of the balance, while you are more. But yes, the disc.
Let's get back on topic.
As I told you once before, when the Earth was divided, and the realm of the Guardian created, a disc was forged in the Well of Making. The disc was to serve two purposes: as a key to the Tower of Balance should it become necessary to enter it in the Guardian's absence,
Which we need.
and as a replacement for the disc that is already in the tower should it be broken. The tower is now abandoned and locked, and the old disc shattered.
So we need it for both reasons.
I do think the time is right for the second disc to be brought forward and used.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Where is the disc now?
At first, more than 12,000 years ago, it was kept in the open, at the Sentinel Enclave outside Marcuria. However, when thieves attempted to make away with the disc, it was taken away,
Why?
so that the four parts of the disc could be divided amongst four of the magical people of Arcadia, people who would have nothing to gain from the balance being compromised.
Okay, let's hear
What
more.
people were the disc divided amongst?
This I cannot tell you. I am not sure anyone remembers now. But it would be in the scriptures, I am certain.
Well, where are the
What
scriptures?
scriptures?
The scriptures of the balance. There are 13 of them. 13 is a strong number, rich in tradition, and... Did you know the Irede High Council consists of 13 ministers? No, of course you don't. 13 was also the number of the fathers who begat the Sentinel, and who built the Tower of Balance.
I did say that. We gotta, like, keep pulling teeth from this
Where
guy.
can I find the scriptures of the balance?
Pay a visit to the Sentinel Enclave, located outside the city to the east. The
Okay.
great library of the Enclave contains every book ever written by an Arcadian minstrel, and most others as well. Speak with Minstrom Yerin, the keeper of books. Tell him I sent you.
Alright, we'll do. Yep. Entry. Alright, let's hear about this other stuff.
I need to find the entrance to the Guardian's realm.
There is one. You are right in that, but where, I would not venture to guess.
Well, you need the key.
In the past, when the time came for the Guardian to step down and another to take his or her place, the Guardian opened a gateway wherever it was needed. A Guardian, still in full control of the balance, can invite anyone in and let anyone out. But with the Guardian gone, the only way in would be the point where the divide was first created, where the tower was built.
Isn't that location written down somewhere?
Of course not. Why would
Remember that this was done on the old Earth before the divide. After the divide, after the creation of Stark and Arcadia, places were shifted about. This entrance may not even be on the ground anymore.
it be? I think that's foreshadow right there.
What do you mean?
It could be up there, in the sky, or far below us, through the crust of the Earth into the molten depths below. I cannot say, and I do not know anyone who could.
That's helpful. That's real helpful.
Isn't there any way to locate the entrance to the Guardian's realm?
Perhaps with careful investigation of the old texts, histories of Arcadia, of the Divide, the scriptures. I do not know, April, but it cannot hurt to look. Again, you will find these texts at the Sentinel Enclave. Speak with Minstrom Yerin.
But I don't want to study. Can't you just give me the answer?
Isn't there any way to locate the entrance to the Guardian's realm?
Perhaps with careful investigation. Again, you...
Alright, let me skip that because that's the same.
I need to locate the 2 dragons that reside in Arcadia.
The Drykin?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Dragons is a word from your world. The kin are not what they have become in your legends and fairy tales.
But they're real, aren't they?
Oh, as real as you and me, April. And old. They have been here since before our time. As you probably remember, the kin were instrumental in the Divide, saving mankind from a terrible end. But I know so little. Only what I can remember from my studies when I was a minstrom at the Enclave.
You know, I'm just thinking right now. So, the Drykin are aliens. They came to Earth from elsewhere, and they decided to help humans from destroying the universe, you know, with the magic and science, by dividing Earth into 2. And as aliens, they most likely have different lifespans. And he's saying that they're really old, which means that they could be as old as like multiple thousands of years. What did he say? It was like 13,000 years or whatever, going along with the 13 that he's talking about as a like auspicious number or something like that. So I'm thinking, like, if these people are really, really old, right? Well, you know who else is really, really old that we know? Cortez. And he's also being sought out by the Vanguard and the Church of Voltec and possibly many other organizations. Might he be of the Drykin? I don't know.
How can I get more information on the Drykin?
Books, daughter, books. The wisdom of the ages. There is one tome you should study, called The Secrets of the Drykin, by Minstrom Elniak. It is old but informative, and it captures the imagination.
Where can I find this book?
In the old library.
Again, you will find these texts at the Sentinel Enclave. Speak with Minstrom Yerin.
Alright, well, we're going to be talking to him for sure.
Thank you, Tobias.
Good to know I could help you, April.
Yeah, go ahead and pretend to work again. Alright, let's head on over there. Alright, I'm still not going to talk to the cup holder guy because it seems that we're not in need of that yet. So, also, it's like, how are we going to be able to tell where the cup is? It's not like we can actually watch him move the cups around, so... Is this it? The Enclave. Here we go. Stone wall?
Some kind of sandstone, very malleable, but also very vulnerable to the elements. These cliffs probably have huge, naturally formed caves and tunnels.
And I'm probably gonna say that that's where, into the Enclave. The tunnels are probably where the Enclave is. It's inside these rock
Stone
formations.
dragon gazing down into the center of the dome like it's guarding the entrance. It's a magnificent piece of work.
I don't know. It doesn't... Well, judging from where I'm looking at it from, I'm not seeing it be a dragon, but what do I know? I mean, this is most likely supposed to be what the Drykin were supposed to be, right? Or what's supposed to look like? Can they change their forms? Downstairs.
It's a circular hollow about 20 centimeters across and about 5 centimeters deep.
This kind of looks like that symbol at the beginning of the game. I wonder if, like, this is where we put the discs. See? Because there's 4 slots here, and then this center. What's this?
The dragon's mouth is pointing straight down at the middle of the floor.
Yeah, that's got to be how you get to the entrance. This must be it. Let's head downstairs into the Enclave. Here we go. You must be Minstrom Yeren. Let's see, anything... I'm just... Ooh. Pool.
It's a pool of seawater. You'd think that it'd be a bad idea to have a pool inside a library on account of the moisture. But I guess magic makes everything possible.
Yeah, magic is the gigantic wave handing over all of logic. Something, 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 something? Yes, magic. Are you gonna say anything about it? Oh, we can actually go down here.
It's
okay.
a rusty wheel.
So we can actually touch the pool here then. I didn't think we could do anything here. Is it warm? Is it cold?
The water's pretty cold.
Okay, so not gonna go take a dip in it then. I wonder if we can take a sample. No, doesn't seem like it. Let's head over here and see what this wheel does.
It's stuck.
Okay, well, then let's just head back here.
It's one of the Sentinel Minstrom.
Yeah, it must be Yeren. I mean, who else is here, right? Hello?
Oh, goodness me, I didn't hear you come in. By the way, you haven't seen Volume 6 of the Complete Annotated History of the Northlands, have you? I could have sworn it was here yesterday.
Sorry, no.
I guess someone else must have taken it. I try to tell them to write down what they borrow on the list, but they never listen.
Who's they?
Only last week I spent 3 hours searching the entire Enclave for the second scripture of the ballads, the scripture of song, before I realized that Vestrum Tobias was studying it back in the city.
Tobias. Come on, man.
Such incidents could be avoided if only, and this applies to you too, young lady, people would sign out the books they borrow when they borrow them and sign them back in when they're done.
Like a library?
Such a simple procedure. It shouldn't take more than a few seconds to jot down your name and the name of the book you borrow. It makes my job so much easier.
Yeah, but it's not about your job.
Now, which book did you want me to find for you?
I got a couple.
Are you Minstrom Yeren?
Yes, of course. What a silly question.
Well, it's not like you got a name
How
tag.
would I know? I don't know you.
I am Minstrom Yeren, keeper of the great library of Marcuria. In fact, this is the greatest library of all the Northlands.
Oh, great. That's good trivia.
Perhaps of the entire world. Although they say the Dark people have a library as big, if not bigger, than this one. But of course, we're not allowed anywhere near there. Have you been there?
No.
I don't think...
Not at
What
all.
a silly question. Of course you haven't. You're not of the Dark people, are you? You don't look like any Dark people I've ever seen, so I can't see how you could possibly... Where did Volume 6 disappear to?
This guy... He's kind of scatterbrained. I mean, he's got like ADD or something.
Tobias said I should talk with you.
Tobias? Vestrum Tobias? I haven't seen him for... Well, he was in last week, but before that it must have been days at least. How is he? Still eating enough for 2 mules? I must tell you of this funny story.
Yep, ADD, man.
Of how Vestrum Tobias eats enough for a table full of minstrum. Or was it one Elguan? Although the Elguan don't, as a rule, eat very much at all. Did Did you know that the Elwan can smell water more than half a day's journey away? Amazing, amazing creatures, perfectly suited for life in the desert. The balance provides, that's for certain. The balance provides.
Okay, that's great and all. Yeah, let's tell him we got some books we
Vestry
need.
Tobias recommended that I look at some books.
Books is what we do best here at the Enclave, that is for certain. Which book would you like to see?
He started off asking us which book we wanted to see.
I'm looking for a story called The Silver Spear of Goriman.
Yes, a fanciful tale if I ever saw one, but a charming one. Did you know that I'm often paid visit by adventurers wishing to read everything available on the spear so that they too could set out on their foolish quests?
That's very judgmental.
Yeah, don't you just hate those adventurers?
Well, they pay for my bread, milk, and butter with their contributions to the coffers, so I shouldn't be too critical of them. But they care not about the books. They care only about what the books can give them.
That's why we have
I
books.
care. About the books, really?
I can tell. So, the Silver Spear of Goriman, then?
Yes. To start. Should we not follow him, April? I mean, he's kind of old. Maybe take it a little easy on him. Help him sign some books out or something. That's okay. Maybe you can tip him. You got money now. He's just setting it
I
down.
did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
Okay, interesting. And he just goes back to doing what he was doing. Alright. The Silver Spear of Goriman. In the glory days of Bakshiva, before the drought, when Goriman was the greatest city in the known world, the Perech of Bakshiva decided to forge the most powerful weapon in the world to challenge the mighty White Dragon. The Perech had grown greedy and bored, his treasure hold filled with the riches of the world, and he desired nothing except the one thing he could never have, the unborn daughter of the White Dragon, the fairest, purest, most beautiful creature in the universe. He had asked the White Dragon for her daughter's hand in marriage, but she had refused, scolding him for his insolence and warning him to keep... Oh, here we go. Turn page, okay. To keep his distance from immortals. And so the Perech sought the advice of a mighty sorcerer, the dark and cruel Eos, to learn how to kill one of the Drakekin. The sorcerer told the Perech of the white silver of Mount Tyranny, the strongest substance in Arcadia, and how it could be forged by magic to kill even one of the kin. The Perech ordered his army to go north, across the ocean, and to bring back enough white silver to shape a weapon. When his men returned with the rare metal, the Perech ordered the finest blacksmith in Bakshiva to his castle, where Eos, the sorcerer, cast a spell to create an unholy forge. 10 days and 10 nights it took before the exhausted blacksmith could present a tall spear to his emperor. But before the spear could be used to kill one of the kin, it had to be bathed in blood. Beheading the poor blacksmith and the soldiers who had retrieved the white silver from Mount Tyranny, the Perech's private bath was filled with their blood. As he dropped the silver spear into the red bath, watched over by Eos, a terrible scream erupted, and steam rose up in a red, foul-smelling cloud. When the steam lifted, the blood was all gone, and the spear was glowing in a deep red color. With the terrible weapon now ready to be wielded, the Perech issued a challenge to the White Dragon to either to surrender her daughter to him for marriage, or to suffer a painful death at his hand. Enraged, the White Dragon refused him yet again, and flew to meet the Parrot, his sorcerer, and his 1,000-strong army on the green fields outside Gorimon. Of the magical silver spear she knew nothing, and the Parrot kept it wrapped in cloth by his side. "Bring your forces around, Parrot," warned the white dragon. "If you do not, I will lay waste to them all." "I wish my men no harm," lied the Parrot, "for this is between the two of us." He then rode forward alone and dismounted his horse, but stayed within reach of the spear. The white dragon landed before him, and she said, "You are brave, and to face me like this when you know you cannot harm me." Then the Parrot raised a hand as if to greet her, but it was instead a sign to his sorcerer, the terrible Eos, who cast a mighty spell to hold the white dragon while the Parrot drew his silver spear. The white dragon fought bravely, and she was close to escaping the sorcerer's magic, but the Parrot was quick, and he thrust the magic spear into her chest. She screamed in pain and anger, and the sorcerer's spell could no longer hold her. Rising on her beautiful wings, blood pouring down on the land below, she cursed Bathsheba, her Parrot, and her people for all time. Wherever the white dragon's blood fell, the land turned arid and grass became sand. The Parrot sent his army to follow the white dragon and to bring back her egg, but the drought grew, and within days the once proud empire of Bathsheba was turning into a desert. Then followed a fierce storm that tore across the land for 100 days and nights, and when the dust settled there was nothing left of Bathsheba but 2 coastal cities and a few scattered oases. It is said that in the buried ruins of a lost capital wrapped in the arms of the Parrot who dared test the immortal rests the silver spear of Gorimon.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
Yes, I am done. And that was quite the story. So, the story of the silver spear is that there was this guy who thought he was the bomb, wanted to marry the best-looking woman who happened to be the daughter of the white dragon. Created a spear because he was refused, and used the spear to try and kill the white dragon. And that caused all of Bathsheba to turn into a desert, and he lays to rest with the spear in his hand.
Oh, goodness, it's you again. Oh, you gave me such a fright.
We were here the whole time, my guy.
Could I see some more books?
Oh, certainly. What a silly question.
Silly? Okay, let's see.
A book on the history of Marcuria would be interesting.
Ah, an extensive subject, to be sure. I will do my best.
Please do. Considering the game is pushing you, or otherwise fate, to bring me the stories that I need, I'm sure it will do just fine. Gimme, 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 gimme! Everybody's walk speed is so slow, man. Sets it down again. He's careful.
I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
I understand him walking slow because he wants to be very, very careful with the books. Because, for some reason, like April had said, they have the library with water right next to it. The moisture and all, and the moisture. Alright. Travels in the Northlands by Jemayan the Discoverer. The first part. In my many years as a traveling poet and bard, I have journeyed far and wide across the fair realm of Arcady, and I have seen sights most people have not dreamed. I have stood on the magnificent and terrible southern capes in the midst of winter, when the storms are at their fiercest, while waves as tall as the towers of Altaban washed over my frozen body. I have witnessed the monstrous beasts that lurk in those dark and deadly waters of the South Swallow brave galleons whole. Creatures the size of mountains that with the flick of a tail can touch the depths of the sea and the stars themselves. I have crossed the great ocean from north to south, and from east to west, and in the course have stranded on islands with no sustenance but what I could gather from the sparse vegetation for months at a time. I have ridden the giant Elguan across Chingangriel, the wasteland, from Altaban to Montauban, and further south where the Turuk, the oasis, are few and far between, and I've seen the shifting dunes about the ruins of Goriman, precious jewel of the Bakshivan Empire, concealed for centuries by the coarse and treacherous sand, and I have journeyed far west, carried on goodwill and destiny by shadow ships. Oh, and carried on goodwill and destiny by shadow ships, to the strange and unknown cliffs of a world unseen by most, a world of an unfamiliar tongue and customs, a world of great wonder and mysticism. I have seen all of this, and more, but the fairest sights still I have seen in the lands of the north. From Ireed to the border mountains, from Tyrene to the Bay of Fire, no sight can ever compare to dawn at Mount Tierney, looking out to the plains of Nedra, where wild stallions run free in the thousands, and to look on the city of Coruscant? Like Star Wars? The Pearl of Fire, while the boiling sun sets in the ocean beyond, the slow waves reflecting dark yellow and red as they lap slowly upon the sandy shores, is an experience truly treasured and ne'er forgotten. The lands are blessed by the Creator, shaped by men, yet wild and free and fertile, home to the greatest cities, the most precious sights, and the most cultured and civilized people in Arcadia. Of all the fires I have rested my weary legs by, of all the taverns where I have learned the legends of tale spinners and memorized the songs of bards, of all the lands where I have wandered from city to village, it is to the Northlands I return time and time again to learn ever more. Join me now, for I will evoke in you the very emotions I first experienced when visiting the sights and treasures of the northern lands. Join me, and I will surely bring you there to the exotic midst of this blessed land, and you will pine for its rugged coast and green woods and its hardy people, and like me, you will ne'er rest until you can return to yonder shores. Marcuria. O Marcuria, thou unkempt diamond, of capitals thou art by truth the fairest. Thy counsel many seek for knowledge, kept within its centuries sought and gathered. By men wiser than the ages, brought hither by word of mouth. Marcuria, change thou not the course of war between thine people? Diplomat, wise man, magician, all this and more, thou hast without equal the mark of merit and virtue. Written by the Jamian Erthrin, the poet. The august capital of Ireed, the unified country, Marcuria lies on the hardy southern coast of the Northlands, halfway between Tyrene and Coruscant. It is a port of call for merchants, traders, adventurers, and pilgrims from all four continents, a place of commerce and diplomacy for millions of humans and other species. Ireed is a strong and proud land perched between the plains of Nedra to the north, the land of the Tyrene to the west, the Great Sea to the south, and the forests of the Northlands to the east, and inhabited by humans, Dolmari, Tyrene, Moles people, and Vanir. Ireed was formed after Marcuria emerged as a major center for diplomacy and trade, and became the banner under which the surrounding lands unified as one. Ireed is a democracy, currently led by the Chief Council of the Ireed flag, Lord Igvan Dallin. The High Council, composed of the ministers who govern by representation, resides in the Marcurian Hall of Assembly, flanked by the palace and the barracks. The Iredes are traditionalists, and their form of government has barely changed over the last few millennia. In High Tongue, Irene means unification or assembly. Marcuria is the largest city of Arcadia, the capital of Irede, and a center for trade, diplomacy, and cultural diversity. Populated by a large variety of races, from human to Vanir, Marcuria has grown from its origins as the birthplace of humanity to a city of all Arcadians and the hub of the civilized world. Founded 20,000 years ago at the shore of the then unconquerable ocean, it is the first known permanent settlement of the emerging human race. Initially left to its own devices by more developed races, Marcuria grew large and fat and wealthy. With newfound confidence, it passed through a period of expansion which gained it a reputation as a merciless aggressor, which soon brought violent attention from the Tyrant in the west and the Dalmori in the north. After years of war, Marcuria was decimated and subsequently rebuilt with sufficient reinforcements to weather attacks from both sea and land. Peaceful times followed, whereupon Marcuria settled into the role it has in today's Arcadia. Although all surrounding areas fall under its jurisdiction, there is sufficient self-governing and few central taxes to appease all but the most disgruntled. The huge areas of farmland around the city benefit from the well-kept roads, markets, and the busy export to other lands. Nearby villages benefit from the military might of Marcuria, protecting them against roving barbarians and tyrant armies. And Marcuria also provides the people of the Northlands with one of the best and busiest ports of Arcadia, allowing travel to distant destinations around the world.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
So Marcuria is a very important place. It was rebuilt and changed in history after it got too greedy and tried to take over the world. And now it serves as kind of like, I don't know, like a New York City maybe, where it's just like a diverse population of people, maybe not with the same power that it once held in the past, but one which is still a big port city and a center hub of trade
It's you again.
for
You
many
gave me such a
different
fright.
governments and countries.
Could I see some more books?
Oh, certainly. What a silly question.
So what else is there? Arcadian folk tales. Alright, this is the last one, it seems.
I'd like to read some Arcadian folk tales.
A favored topic of mine. I have just what you're looking for.
He looks a little unbalanced here. He's kind of put his arms out as balancing mechanisms, like people on a tightrope.
I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
Interesting that you are the one choosing the topics. Well, I guess supposedly the specifics of the topics that we are choosing. Why can't you just leave it up to us? Sadra, the faithful wife. Sadra was married to a brute of a man named Kare. He was a bully who drank, cursed, gambled, and beat up his wife when he'd lost coins at the cups table. Still, Sadra treated Kare with respect and care. She fed him when he was hungry, she made his bed and washed his back, and she laid down with him when he told her to. She never complained of her hardships to anyone, even though some days she woke up with bruises all over her body. Despite her husband's treatment, Sadra was a beautiful woman with lovely dark hair and green eyes, and men would admire her when she went to the market for food or the town well for water. But none dared approach her, fearing her dangerous husband more than they admired her beauty and grace. People would say, "Poor Sadra, she deserves better than what she has. She is so good and patient even though her husband mistreats her every day." But no one was willing to do anything to free her from her husband, as they all feared his wrath. "She chooses her path," they would say, "and it is not our duty to interfere." Then one day, a tall and handsome prince rode into town to visit with the elder council. When he spotted Sadra carrying 2 heavy buckets from the well to her home on the edge of town, he was taken with her beauty and youth and he jumped down from his horse to help her carry her buckets home. On the way, he offered Sadra courtship, but when told she was already married, he bowed respectfully and excused himself for acting inappropriately. That night, Sadra's husband heard about the prince helping his wife, and after striking her down for letting royalty interfere with her duties, he strode drunkenly, for he had already had his usual fill of dark ale, towards the tavern where the prince and his cohorts were staying. When Kare arrived at the tavern, the prince was eating dinner, and when told Sadra's husband was there to see him, the prince stood and waved the man closer. "I must congratulate you on your good taste in marriage," said the prince, "for your wife is the most beautiful and good-hearted woman I have ever met." And then he offered Kare a seat and a tall mug of ale. But the angry husband did not appreciate the prince's advances, and he drew his sword and lunged at the prince before his guards could react. The prince was quick and lucky to avoid certain death, and before Kare could make a second strike, the prince had recovered his sword from where it stood by the wall and stood ready to fight the brute. "Leave him be," called the prince when his guards drew arms and ran to protect their liege. "This is between him and me." Smiling briefly, he nodded his head to Kare and stood to attention. Obviously, his skill with the sword was formidable. Kare, a coward at heart, knew that if he fought fairly, he would surely die, and he sheathed his sword, but loosened the knife he had tucked up his long sleeve. "My pardon, prince," said Kare. "My love for my wife is such that I am blinded by jealousy. I offer you friendship and apologies." He extended an open hand to the prince, and smiled a broad lizard smile. The prince, unaware of Kare's mistreatment of his faithful wife, smiled back, put down his sword, and extended his own hand. "Your apology accepted, sir." Then suddenly, Kare's knife was in his hand, and moving in a blur toward the prince's exposed throat. Had it not been for the quick eye of a nearby guard, who, with the broadside of his sword, struck down Kare on the side of his head, the prince would have been dead. The knife carved a deep scar in the prince's shoulder, but did no serious harm. Kare was taken away to the town prison to be judged when the sun rose. His crime was surely punishable by death, especially if Sadra would testify to his cruelty in front of the judge. Free of Kare's tyranny, the townspeople now spoke of Sadra's suffering by her husband's hand, but Sadra would not herself, even now, speak against her husband, and instead of being sentenced to death, Kare was sent away to work the king's mines for 25 years. Taken with her faithfulness, the prince yet again offered Sadra courtship, but again Sadra declined, for she was still a married woman. Then, 1 year later, Kare attempted to escape the king's mines by killing 2 guards and climbing the walls, but he was shot down with an arrow and died in agony and disgrace. Again, the prince visited Sadra's town, bringing condolences and a renewed offer of courtship, and this time Sadra agreed. Months later, the prince and Sadra were married in a glorious ceremony, and when the old king died, the prince became regent and Sadra his queen. She was as good a queen as the land had ever seen, and she was loved dearly until the day she died, and her funeral was the grandest and most tearful in memory. The Children of the Lake. There was a village by a lake where no couple had borne a child for 20 years. The villagers were desperate, for without children their village would wither and die, and they turned to their god for help. The next morning, 50 young children rose out of the misty lake and wandered onto the shores, much to the joy of the childless women. "We are yours," said one of the children, "as long as you remember one thing. You are never to fish from this lake again. Instead, you must learn to hunt in the forest and live off the land." The villagers agreed, though they worried they might go hungry since they were used to catching and eating fish from the lake. But it didn't take long before they had taught themselves to hunt and grow wheat and potatoes in the fields. 18 years passed, and then one day, an old man grew tired of rabbits and deer and potatoes and bread, and he longed to catch a big fish and cook it over a sizzling fire. He took his boat out to where the villagers would not see him, and he sank his line. Almost immediately, he caught a large trout. But as he was rowing back to shore, he saw the children of the lake wander from their homes back into the dark waters from whence they came. Their mothers called for them, tried to hold on to them, begged them not to leave, but they would not speak, and one by one they disappeared into the lake. The old fisherman then saw, as the children sank into the murky waters, how they turned into large fish and sped off into the deep. He was shameful then and dropped his catch back in the water, but it was too late, and the village would forevermore remain childless.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
Man, they got some, like, heavy folklore tales there. I mean, they're kind of like fables, I guess, like they teaching some kind of lesson to the children or the people that are reading. I think there was one more, the very first one, I think.
Oh,
Dude, again?
oh, goodness, it's you again. Oh, you gave me such a fright.
He's just so engrossed, I guess.
Could I see some more books?
Or
Oh,
maybe
certainly. What a silly question.
he's just so much ADD that he just didn't even, notice, I guess. Alright, so everything but this one.
I'm looking for some information, but I'm not sure which book to ask for.
No matter. I know a great deal about most of the books in here. What topic intrigues you?
Ah, here we go. These are things we need to read. Alright, so start with the mermen.
I've heard rumors about mermen who live beneath the Sea of Songs, and I'd like to find out more about them.
Mermen in the Sea of Songs. Let me see what I can find, yes?
These are the ones that April had thought, hey, maybe these are sharks. But they have a different name for them here. I forget what those are. It was different. But, I mean, he said, no, they're definitely not them. They were definitely mermen.
I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
Alright. Let's give it a whirl. Alright. Merum, also mermen, merpeople, Marians, and magical people who reside in the depths of the great ocean and other seas. Little contact has been made with the Merum, who are believed to have been quite numerous in the past, but are now dwindling in numbers. Confirmed location of Merum cities is between the Briston Atoll and Guyenne, centering on the Sea of Songs. Legends of mermen, merpeople, Marians, are rampant among sailors. These stories portray the Merum in a grotesque and violent light, betraying the truth of a largely peaceful people. Violent light betraying the... Oh, that's just from the last line there. Although not much is known about the Merum, their religion apparently centers around the belief of a benevolent god who lives in the immense depths of the great ocean and who brought the Merum to Earth from a distant place distant and wonderful.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
So, according to this book, they're peaceful people. They wouldn't be the type to be eating and like savaging people in the middle of the ocean. So, but it says specifically like sailors tend to portray them that way. But why? Where's the disconnect here?
Oh, goodness, it's you again. Oh, you gave me such a fright.
Well, okay. I mean, it's
Could
not
I
like
see some more books?
not like we haven't been here the whole
Certainly.
time.
What a silly question.
All right.
I'm looking for some information, but I'm not sure which book to ask for.
No matter. I know a great deal about most of the books in here. What topic intrigues you?
So we read about the mer people. Need to find out which 4 magical people of Arcadia were given a piece of the stone disc that serves as the
I
key
need
to
to
the
find
Guardian's
out
realm.
which 4 magical people of Arcadia were given a piece of the stone disc that serves as the key to the Guardian's realm.
The stone disc of the balance, yes? Yes. There could possibly be something on that in... let me check. Just one moment.
You know, he knows exactly which books there are, which means he's read all the books, and enough to the point where he could memorize what's in them. Why can't he just answer the question? Instead, he's just putting the book down and be like, here you go. I mean, maybe it's the ADD. Maybe he also has a bad memory. Maybe it's both? All of it? I don't know.
I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
I suppose I'm glad that, considering I have a bad memory, I also don't have ADD, but it's tough no matter what, I suppose. Chapter 16 in the 8th scripture, the scripture of breaking. Regarding the disc of the balance and the events that came about when the disc was broken. The scriptures tell us that the disc was kept at the Enclave for many thousands of years, safely guarded from any threat by the respect held by every man and woman for the authority of the fathers. But with dissent came disobedience, and disobedience brought immortality, and immortality begat theft. Tyrant soldiers, aided by sentinel traitors, attempted to make away with the disc, but were thwarted by the Wight of the Kin herself, intervening, although forbidden to do so on behalf of the fathers. The disc was brought safely back to the Enclave, but the threat would linger in the minds of the minstrel and the vestrum. So it became that the disc was melted in the forge of the dragon's mouth, shaped into the elements of 4 magical people, and given to these respective people for safekeeping until such a time when it was decreed that the disc should once more be whole. 1 stone to the gentle souls that sing in the dark and shape the earth between their toes. 1 stone to the watchers of the woods, the ones who were outside. 1 stone to the 2 that make one of air and of sea, and 1 stone to the keepers of the dark flame, the eternally dark, the mariners. When the time comes for the disc to be whole again, 1 person will make a journey to the 4 and hold the pieces, and the pieces will be given willingly, because there will be no doubt to the righteousness of this person. Wow. So, they know that this person is going to come, and they're going to willingly give up their pieces, even though they're holding them for safekeeping, just because they know that this person is here for good. But if anybody can read this text, because April can just read this text, it's not written in code or anything, they could just pretend to be her. Like here is the poem, I want to say, that spells out who has these things. But I also want to make mention, it kind of reads like the Lord of the Rings with the rings of power, you know?
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
But considering we don't know the lore of the peoples of Arcadia, I'm hoping somebody can help us decipher what is what. But I'm sure the game will help us with that, because that's what the game do, you know? I think there's a couple of more entries before we finish up, because the
it's you
recording's
again.
a bit long, or
fright.
getting to be a bit long, longer than normal anyway.
Can I
So
see some more books?
we're gonna finish up the books, and
certainly.
then
What a
I think
silly
we'll finish
question.
up the video. So let's see. We're going to.
I'm
ask
looking for some
more
information,
info,
but I'm...
No, Matt.
skip through some of those, and oh, here is the last one. Learn more about the dragons.
I'd like to learn more about dragons, about the Dragonkin.
Oh, yes. We have some wonderful books on that topic. Stay here.
Like we've been doing. No different, my guy. And I think he's going to the same shelf every time. Oh, no. I think this is a different shelf. Interesting. Is it? Honestly, I haven't been keeping attention, but I thought the last time he went to this shelf. That'd be interesting if he goes to a different shelf every time. But now, all the books that we've asked for are over here. I wonder if he asks to see one of them again if he doesn't go back here and gets it. Or does he put them away while we're reading this
I
one?
did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
He probably puts it away, to be honest. I mean, he wants things to be organized, so maybe he just does it while we're just kind of, like, busy. Alright. Secrets of the Drytkin by Minstrom Eliak. Forward. The Drytkin are known by many names throughout the Twin Worlds. In Altung, they are often referred to as the Drakkin. In some variations of Low Tongue, Drekin. In the Southlands, the word Dragik refers specifically to the winged lizard shape traditionally associated with the kin. In Irad, the eternal spirits of the kin are called simply Drak, regardless of the current shape. In Stark, most cultures refer to the kin as dragon, drag, drach, dragon, though this usually refers only to the winged lizard-like shape and not to the spirit inhabiting the shape. So the Drakkin inhabit shapes. They're not specifically like figures that are shaped in or with the body that we think of as dragons, I guess. So, like it says multiple times in some of these cultures, it refers to the lizard shape and not specifically to the soul of the dragons or the Drytkin, who again are aliens, right? Because they came from another world. So, where were we? Not to the spirit inhabiting the shape. In fact, while in Arcady, the kin are respected and revered as eternal spirits with great significance in the balance and the all. In Stark, the kin are mostly creatures of mythology and fairy tales. However, in some Stark legends and scriptures, notably the Christian Bible, the name dragon is associated with the forces of evil, and thus the religious connotations do seem to have carried over in a somewhat distorted form. So, that is not something that I was aware of. Dragons in Christian tales, lore, did they exist in those? And if so, because I know of the serpent, but that's not. I mean, that's like a snake, but is that just something that's come through popular culture? I don't know enough about the religion to know if like the serpent that was in the Garden of Eden, if that looked more like a dragon, or if it looked like a snake. But I've always heard and seen depictions of it looking like a snake and less like a dragon, you know? And if so, what are the connotations that go with that? That, like, even in Stark, the Drakkin who wanted balance, who wanted to prevent humans from destroying the universe, they are evil because they have knowledge. Because in the story of the Garden of Eden, the snake or the serpent was enticing Eve with the apple that brought about knowledge. So, is that supposed to be a dig at the Drytkin? I don't know. Who or what are the Drytkin? Why not ask who is the creator? Or what is the all? Questions thus asked will remain in perpetuity unanswered, for they are in truth unanswerable. To condense all knowledge of the creator into one answer is futile, as is any attempt to define the all without describing every single element that makes up the all. So also with the Drytkin, we cannot answer who is the kin or what is the kin, but we can provide some answers to the simpler questions. The questions that deal with what we see and hear and feel and what we have been told by the kin themselves. Answers that together may give us, if only the fairest hint of the whole truth, then at last some indication of who or what the Drytkin are. Born of the emptiness between the stars, reads the 11th scripture of the balance, the scripture of time, shaped in unison with the all, part of the all and yet outside the all. Drakekin, note the ancient high tongue variation of Drakekin. Why so many variations and interpretations of the Drakekin from culture to culture? The kin have always been shrouded in mystery, and from mystery rises legend and myth. The kin seem content to be seen as nothing but tall tales and figments of a bard's fertile imagination. So, they seem to be very mysterious because they're spirits. And it seems that because they're spirits, they can exist in multiple different bodies or figures or shapes. And they don't care about what us lowly creatures think or what we make of them because they are a much higher form of life, I guess, because they are part of the all, but yet not of the all, and they existed between everything and in the stars and such. So they're just
Are
like
you done? Let me take that back for you.
they're just like some like cosmic power, I guess. But that it being able to divide Earth would not have been possible without them. So that would probably be the case. All right. Anyways, I think we've read through quite a number of books. I think we've gotten quite the bit of lore dump on top of what Abnaxis had imparted upon us the last time. So I think we're at a good place to stop here. I hope you guys didn't get burnt out with all of the stuff that got told to us. I mean, at this point, everything came in so rapid fire that honestly, I'm not even sure I have everything put together. I tried to summarize things for both you and for myself. For you, in that you are going through this now, because when I'm reading it, I'm not necessarily concentrating on what the meaning of the words are. I'm kind of just like concentrating on trying to say the next word instead of trying to falter while trying to read the sentence. So I get to hear it all over like you while I'm editing the videos. So it's also for me. Anyways, there was a lot that happened. If you need to rewatch the video or rewatch parts of the video in order to make sense of things, I'm totally fine with that. It's all good. In fact, it's great for my channel. Anyways, I'd say enough with all of that. I am ready to take a break, to be quite honest with you. If you need to take a break, please do so. But if you are watching this not in real time and you feel like you can continue on and move forward, please move on right over to the next video where I will see you once again. And until then, everyone, bye.